So this is what any census workers are going to be seeing when they approach our property. I'm really looking forward, if any of them happen to be watching, really looking forward to giving you your hugs and kisses. I'm happy to, if I've got the time, to keep at it for as long as it takes. So thank you for the YouTube commentator who gave me the idea for the notice. Oh, hello Matt, it's Danny Shine again.
Oh, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
Good, fine, thank you. Yes, response to your question about recording and online.
Yep.
Yes, of course I'm recording it.
Okay, it would be nice to know.
Yep, I understand that.
Discourteous, I feel.
Sorry?
A little discourteous, I feel.
Okay, I apologise for the discourteous. I believe I did mention something at the beginning of the first call that you made to me.
Okay, well, if you did, I can't remember. But anyway, where we are. Okay, how can I help you today?
Okay, just hold on a second because I've got quite a few questions for you. Just to let you know, by the way, in terms of on that subject itself, I haven't given away your telephone number or your email address. I do see I presume you see yourself as a public servant.
Yes.
And I see myself as a public servant. The only difference is I don't get paid for what I do.
Yes,
I do this, right? So I am actually trying to help people get information, and rather than having them contact you by the thousands, this is a good way for them getting information.
That's fine. I'd say it would just be nice to know. But if you say you told me, I'll go with that. I can't honestly remember.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to start. We'll start with Lockheed Martin, and I've got the most incredible thing going on here. Are you by a computer at the moment?
I am indeed. Yeah.
Excellent. If you type in, hold on one second. By the way, I just to let you know also that I've got a colleague of mine who's on Skype with me, so he may chip in. His name's David.
Okay.
Just say hello, David.
Hello.
Okay. If you type in. And that IP address is the IP address for the online census.
Right.
Yeah? And it goes to Lockheed Martin, UK.
Okay.
That's a bit disturbing, isn't it?
I know nothing about it, to tell you the truth. I'm not involved in that side of things, but as I say, I can take that away and try and find out what's going on if you want.
Right.
If you could do me a favour, if you could...
I'll email you.
An email for me.
Oh, yeah. I'll pop...
and then I'll take that up with our people here and see what's going on. But I can't really comment. I've no idea.
Okay.
The online census.
Okay, great.
Legalities.
Okay, so here's the next question. Why do you think we should let our personal information become the Crown's property only for it to be used by supermarkets, banks and other industries to profit from? Shouldn't we be getting paid to hand our information over if it's going to be used by private corporations for profit?
Okay, well, I think we discussed this before. It's not the personal information that ever gets handed over.
No, not the personal information, but I'm saying they're going to be using our information collectively for profit.
Well, possibly, but the statistics we produce are published for the use of everybody. So you can use them if you want. Anyone can use them. We don't distinguish who and how. The specific tables of data we put out are free at the point of use for everybody. If companies want to then come back and ask for specific data, they would have to commission that, and there may be a charge for us to produce that kind of information. So it's not all free.
Right.
But I agree, there is no way of remunerating those who complete a census questionnaire.
Right, okay. Bearing in mind, on the same subject, that so many government databases have been compromised or hacked, or, we've seen what we've seen in the last year with WikiLeaks and what we've seen with people leaving things in trains. Yep. What exactly do you intend to do if, how would you compensate people if their information is compromised?
I'm not aware that we have any systems in place. I would need to check that, but I'm not aware that we would have any way of doing that.
Can I just chip in?
Sorry, David's just chipping in here, yes?
The thing about it is that we've already qualified that once somebody fills in their personal data on the census, it's not people, it's not their property anymore. It's not their personal data. It's then owned by the Crown itself, right? So
Yes.
it's Crown property.
Okay.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, is that right?
That makes sense. Yeah, it would be owned by ONS, the actual data. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's my point. I mean, so if you could kind of answer that question again within that context.
So let me just clarify in my mind what we're talking about. We're talking about once we have received ONS. This is once we have received the census data. If there is then some kind of data loss on our part, how would we compensate?
So essentially, the loss of data, if it's our personal data, it isn't actually our data anymore because the Crown property, because it becomes Crown property, right?
Okay, so who would we be expected to compensate?
We have no comebacks whatsoever if our property, well, I mean, not really our property, our personal information accidentally gets lost by the Crown. You see, it's actually the Crown's property, so we actually have no comebacks.
Right.
Right. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it?
That makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm missing something, but I'm struggling to find your point here.
No, there's not really a question here, is there?
Oh, fine. That's what I'm just checking.
Just a clarification.
Who would we compensate? Well,
Yeah, well, you won't compensate anyone because you won't need to because you own the information.
yes. And on a more practical point, if we'd lost the data, we wouldn't know whose data it was because we'd lost it.
Right.
We wouldn't be able to compensate those people. We would.
Well, you might. No, if not, if you lost it, but if it was compromised and somebody got hold of it, a corporation, let's say.
I'm with you. But yeah, yes, it belongs to ONS, so we wouldn't look to compensate anybody.
Right. So basically,
again, that's something I'd need to give more consideration to rather than just a quick, off the top of my head answer on the phone.
Yeah, fair enough. But that doesn't, if that is the case, don't you think that enforcing a person to fill out the census with all this personal information is a form of stealing?
Well,
because the data is being you're giving it over to someone. It's a form of stealing, isn't it?
Well, in no other way than any other information that you have to provide to the state.
What other information do you have to provide to the state?
Well, you have to register births, deaths, marriages.
Oh, do you? Hold on a second. You do not have to register births. What do you mean by you have to? What do you mean by you have to register births? I mean, if someone doesn't register a birth, what happens there?
Well, I'm not sure of the exact legalities of it, but it's the same kind of thing. If you want to go abroad, you need to get a passport. To get a passport, you have to provide information. It's the same level of...
No, but you don't...
I don't see it as stealing data whatsoever.
Right. A bit about Lockheed Martin, yes? Mm-hmm. Lockheed Martin are the number one most corrupt corporation in the world, according to contractormisconduct.org. Okay. There are 57 official and factual findings against Lockheed Martin. If it is true, is it ethical to work with such a corporation?
Well, I think we've covered this as well before, and whether that's true or not, I have no idea.
Right.
One website that could or not be true. I mean, not everything online is
that's true,
as you're quite aware. So the ethics of it, I say it's not something I can really comment on. The contract was put there for good financial reasons because they provided the best value for money for the taxpayer. And whilst we followed EU and UK procurement laws,
right.
I wasn't involved in that. I can't really comment anymore on that.
Okay.
I'd just like to come in here really quickly.
David just wants to say something quickly, yes?
Because those 57 counts of corruption are actually registered within the US administration. They're not made up, or they're not from a. They are obviously held on a website, but they are in fact true.
No, I'm not suggesting they're made up. What I'm saying is I'm not aware of any facts or evidence, so I can't really judge from you saying there are 57 counts. I mean, you could well be right. I don't know.
Right, and I mean, if there are 57 counts of corruption against them, then it seems very difficult to understand how you could prosecute someone for not wanting to be involved with a company A who've got so many corruption claims against them, and B who are involved in, warfare, making things for warfare, as well as many other things all over the world that people object to. Yeah,
but you're not being involved with them as such. You're being involved with ONS. It's ONS who's running the census. Lockheed have provided some support services to ONS.
Right.
Let me accept that. But they're not running the census.
Okay.
They have a contract. Whether people complete their census questionnaires or not, that contract is still there.
I get that. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, now you again, there's a threat to people of £1,000 up to £1,000 for refusing to divulge personal information. Do you think it's ethical to threaten people with a fine for refusing to divulge personal information?
Again, the ethics don't really come into it. Unfortunately, it's a necessity because although the vast majority of people in this country will happily fill in their questionnaire because they see the importance of it and they see why we need this information, there is a small minority who won't.
Right.
So we need some kind of incentive, if you want to use that word, to get them to do that.
It's not an incentive, it's a threat.
The only thing we have at our possession is the risk of prosecution.
Right. So I wouldn't call that an incentive. That's a threat.
Well,
yeah, it's very different, an incentive to a threat, don't you think? I mean, incentive, you could, for example, offer them £100 to fill it in.
Well,
that's an incentive.
That would rather raise the cost of the census if we had to raise £100 to, 60-odd million people.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. But it would mean perhaps you could then take the money away from Lockheed Martin, but that's another whole thing. Okay. So I want to go back to the work question. If someone spends all day making bombs, mines, explosives,
okay,
would that count as work?
If they're paid for it.
Well, let's start where they're not paid for it. If they're not just as a hobby, they make bombs, mines, explosives, that would not count as work, right?
Well, the question asks, have you done any paid work?
Right.
If you were employed to make bombs and mines, which I can't see how you possibly could be.
Well, like, for example, let's say you work for Lockheed Martin, for example.
Okay. If you work for an arms manufacturer, and that is
Yeah.
your job, yes, you would put down that you work for an arms manufacturer. And if your job title was bomb maker,
Yeah.
then you would list that, yes.
Great. What about if you're? What about gambling? Let's say you spent all day in a betting shop. I presume that you wouldn't be able to put that down as paid work, right?
I wouldn't class as paid work.
However,
again,
if you
unless somebody paid you to go and do it.
Yeah. So if someone paid you to bet all day, that would count as a job. Like, for example, let's say an investment banker. They're paid a lot of money, whether they win or lose, whether your investment goes up or down, they still get paid.
That's their job.
So gambling all day and getting paid.
That is their job.
Right, great. And what about, let's say someone spent all day arguing over the meaning of ambiguous words and phrases?
You're not describing yourself here.
No, I am actually, because but I'm also describing you and other lawyers because that's what you guys do all day. The only difference is I don't get paid, so I presume I can't put that down.
Well, in which case, yes, I would put that down as my job. I wouldn't use those words as a job title, but if you're not paid to do it, you would put that down as yours.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Matt, and I really appreciate you're always incredibly courteous and incredibly helpful and sincere, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. I may still come back to you, but I really appreciate your continued support, and I just want to let you know that you're helping a lot of people understand things better. So thank you very much.
Well, as long as it helps, I'm happy to do it.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
In terms of the questions you asked, if you could just drop me an email with those things in, I'll try to get some details back for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Bye.